welcome back to Sonyas Prep. Today is another Shabbat meal prep video. I hope you guys all enjoy these recipes. We have some special guests and I am off this week, so I'll be making some delicious recipes for you. Hope you guys enjoy. If you enjoy this type of content, then please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Today I'm going to be starting off with making this boozy babka. How heavenly does this look? It's from this Fleshik magazine issue. I cannot wait to make it. I actually got a treat of it and it was heavenly. So let's recreate this together. I have 1 1/4 cups of warm water here, and it says to basically add in 4 1/2 teaspoons of yeast, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1 tablespoon of the chocolate liqueur. I'm going to be using this. It smells so good. One tablespoon of that. Gonna give everything a nice mix and wait for it to start bubbling up. And now into a standing mixer, we're gonna be adding in 2 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 12 tablespoons of non-dairy butter if you're making this carb. If you don't mind making a dairy, you can definitely use butter. It'll be even better. We're gonna put this into the stand mixer and add in the flour. And then gonna add in the yeast mixture that's started to bubble. So I just added in 4 cups of flour to that yeast and butter mixture. I'm gonna let it mix and then I'm gonna add in the rest of the cup of flour a little bit at a time until the dough comes together. Adding in the rest of the flour and gonna mix it again until the dough just starts to pull away from the actual walls of the mixer. So the dough is now ready. It is such a soft and delicious yummy dough. Wow. And it says to divide this dough into 1-pound pieces. So it's going to, I think, make about 3 to 4 babkas. I'm gonna weigh the entire thing. And it's coming out to 3.2 pounds. And if you don't have a scale, you can definitely just eyeball this part. I'm gonna just shape this into nice balls. And you could either make this all in one shot or freeze these doughs and make them later. I decided to make 2 babkas for the Shabbat. The other one, I'm going to be just placing, it says babka dough when I made it. And I'm gonna place that in the freezer so that I can use it the next time I'm in the mood for babka and I won't have to make the dough. Here is the dry filling. I have 2 cups of sugar here, 1 cup of Dutch processed cocoa powder, 1 cup of confectioner sugar, 2 tablespoons of vanilla sugar, and 1 box of instant chocolate pudding. It's all in here and I'm gonna give it all a mix and set that aside. And then we're going to get started on our wet chocolate filling for the babka. For the wet mixture, we're using 1 cup of the dry chocolate mixture, 1/4 cup of the chocolate liquor, and 2 tablespoons of oil. And it should be a spreadable consistency. So let's mix it. And finally, for the crumb topping, I have 1 cup of sugar or confectioner sugar. I have 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 6 to 8 tablespoons of cold butter or non-dairy butter, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla sugar. So I'm going to just use my hands and smush them between my fingers until they look like a sandy mixture. So I square off the dough so it could be all the same shape. And you could fix it up however you want. I put a bunch of the wet filling that we made.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! So chocolatey, oh my gosh. Mom, what are you making?
Babka.
Babka's yum. Chocolate chips are so tiny. They're so tiny.
So on top of the wet mixture, we're gonna put on the chocolate chips. Aviva's gonna help. That's enough, thank you. On top of the chocolate chips, we're gonna layer on the dry chocolate filling. This incredible recipe is originally made from Naomi TGIS from Instagram. So I know this recipe has a lot of components to it. So if you go and follow Naomi on Instagram, she definitely has highlights, guiding you along on how to make this babka perfectly. She has her recipe there as well, and she does have video content showing you just how to fold it and how to do everything properly. You can either score the babka like I'm doing it here, or do that from the beginning, separate the 2 strands and fold it up that way. After that, I'm placing the crumb topping over the top, and I'm going to be doing this ×2 because like I said, I wanted to make 2 babkas, and the third one is in the freezer. We have actually made that third one already by now as you're watching this video. Oh my gosh, I'm like hooked on this babka. It is absolutely delicious. The babkas are now done, and look how ooey gooey and completely delicious. Just watch. Wow. Amazing. Of course, we already dived in with the leftover wet sauce. We're gonna just drizzle this deliciousness over the top. I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the second one. So I had to take a little bit of a break from cooking in the kitchen because my kids got home and I needed to take care of them. But we're back in the kitchen now. The time now is 9 o'clock. So I have everything lined up over here. I have some chicken drumsticks, rack of ribs, and some beef mixed with lamb over here. That's going to be borscht. I have all of this lined up here. On the island, I have a pot where I'm going to be making my osvo, which is the overnight stew that we eat on Saturday. I have my pot here ready for my Moroccan salmon, and another glass Pyrex for another salmon that I'll be making. And over here on the stove, I have oxtails, and I first fill it up with water, and then I'm going to be actually draining out the water and washing these oxtails and placing them again onto the stove with some clean water. And that's going to be going for my oxtails. And then I have my soup pot, so I just filled it up with water, dropped in a chicken carcass, 1 chicken drumsticks, and a few lamb bones right over there. So we have a million things going on at the same time, just getting ready to get Shabbat prep going. I just drained these oxtails, washed them all up, placed them back onto the pot with some fresh water. I turned up the fire to medium high. I'm gonna cover it with a lid and let that come to a boil. And the longer this cooks, the more tastier and more amazingly delicious this is. I don't add any seasoning at this point because it tends to be very salty, and I'm gonna add in all of my seasonings halfway through cooking. So now we're gonna get started on the honey dressing chicken. This recipe I found from Peas, Love, and Carrots. She had this, hers was a spicy honey recipe, but I didn't want to make this spicy. My kids would not eat this. So I made it my own a little bit, and I'll have all of the ingredients and all of the measurements of everything that I used in this marinade in the description box below for you. We have 8 cloves of garlic here, honey, oil, apple cider vinegar, oregano, cilantro, salt, pepper, like all the good stuff. So mix this all really, really well, and I'm gonna place this all on top of the chicken and give it a good rub. Place it in the refrigerator overnight and bake it tomorrow right before Shabbat. And we're gonna keep basting it, and it's gonna look absolutely stunning and delicious. I'm actually playing around with a few recipes for my Rosh Hashanah special that I'm trying to put together for you guys, for you to get an idea of what to make. Any kinds of recommendations or suggestions are welcome. If you guys want to see something specific in that episode, let me know. Moving right along to the rack of ribs. I think a lot of the components of the menu that I'm making today can actually be used for Rosh Hashanah or Sukkot, especially for Rosh Hashanah because a lot of these elements are sweetened. So I think I'm going to be using a lot of these recipes for that episode. So for the rack of ribs, I'm going to be seasoning it like I would normally season any type of meat, which is going to be with cumin, coriander, onion soup seasoning, a lot of brown sugar, salt, black pepper, and a little bit of oil. And the key to making it taste really, really delicious is to marinate it for a very long time. So I'm going to be marinating it today and baking it tomorrow for about 3 to 4 hours at 300 degrees. To prevent the meat from drying out while I'm cooking it and while I'm reheating it for Shabbat, I do add in about a cup of water to a half a cup of water depending on the size of your meat so that it provides moisture and prevents it from drying out. I have the chicken soup going here. I dropped in a large onion. Actually, one of you here on YouTube told me to drop it in with the peel. So obviously I cleaned it, I cut off the tops and the bottoms. I added in celery stalks, a green pepper. I've also diced up a carrot and potato. I'm gonna drop all of that in and season it with some salt, black pepper, cumin and coriander, and some chicken seasoning. And I'm gonna also add in some dill. Moving on to our Moroccan salmon, I make a slurry here of oil, turmeric, and paprika. It's 1 tablespoon of turmeric, about 2 tablespoons of paprika, and a 1/4 cup of oil to a half a cup of oil, depending on the amount of salmon that you're going to be making. Into a large bottom skillet, I have over here about 3 tablespoons of avocado oil. You could use olive oil if you prefer. I have about 8 garlic cloves that I've sliced up,
1 red pepper, and 2 green chilies that I've sliced up with some cilantro stems. If you don't like cilantro, then you could definitely use parsley. I'm also going to add in tomato paste, about 2 tablespoons of that, the slurry, and chickpeas. I add in water into the same plate where the slurry was, just to clean out all of those seasonings, and add about 2 bowls of water into the pot. I then add in all of the salmon, move all of the sauce around to cover the salmon. The Moroccan fish then gets finished off by me squeezing an entire lemon over the top that I have previously sliced, and then I add in tons of cilantro over the top. I close the lid for about 5 to 7 additional minutes until it's cooked through. The Moroccan salmon is ready. It's just cooling here on the side, and I'm making the mustard vinaigrette salmon. I've been obsessed with this recipe since I first showed it to you. I think it was Shabbat time. So all I do is take my salmon, put in about 6 to 7 cloves of crushed garlic with some salt and black pepper. I smear it really well all over the salmon. Top it with a little bit of dill over the top, and then layer in, well, first squeeze lemon over the top of the salmon, layer the lemons on in a beautiful fashion, and I'm gonna spray some oil over the top and bake it in a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes, and then I'll show you the vinaigrette. For the dressing, we have 1.5 tablespoons of vinegar, 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, a teaspoon of mustard, quarter cup of oil, and dill. So all of that gets mixed, and when the fish comes out of the oven, all nice and hot, we're gonna place this right over the top, and it is amazing. The gorgeous salmon is out of the oven, and now the marinade is gonna go right over the top. If you guys can only smell this, oh, it's perfection. You guys definitely gotta try it. Fast forward to the next day. On Friday, when I wake up, I place my Dutch ovens into the oven, take the sourdoughs out that I've made previously, and just set myself up to bake them. While I wait for the oven to come to temperature, I am definitely enjoying my favorite cup of coffee. I'll link the recipe to these sourdough breads in the description box or in the card up above. So if you're interested in making these amazing sourdough breads, check those out. Good morning, everyone. So as you saw, I just put in my sourdough as soon as I woke up after I fed the kids breakfast. I have the beets going here for beet carpaccio. I put the soup back on the stove to cook for another few hours because I learned that soup just develops a deeper flavor the longer it cooks. I also put my oxtails back on the fire to cook for a few hours. It's gonna get all nice and sticky, and then an hour before it's ready, I'm gonna add in potatoes, and that's gonna be done. And just because we can, I'm adding another component on the stove top. This is osvo. This is basically meat with rice, tomato sauce, onion, a green apple. This is a stew that we eat on Saturday for lunch. I made it in a much smaller pot this time because I find that we're not eating as much of it in the summer months, so it is significantly smaller. I have 1.5 cups here with about 2 cups of water. So yeah, I'm gonna be mixing that up, let it thicken up, and let that cook away for a few hours before Shabbat starts.
Mama, do it when that smells. Okay, so
The sourdoughs are out. I love, oh, look at that. Oh, they look gorgeous. I also made challah that I made on Wednesday, and I froze it from the previous week, and I'll show you that. Here are the challahs. So I spend 1 week, maybe every 3 weeks, where I make challahs in a big batch and I freeze them, making sure all of the air is out. And on Friday, right before I go to work, or my husband, when he's home earlier than I do, we take this out of the refrigerator, or out of the freezer, I should say, and it comes to room temperature. I pop it into the oven for like 5 minutes before Shabbos, and they're as good as new. So our bread is all ready for Shabbos. So for the oxtails, I wanted to add in some potatoes. So I'm going to be chopping them up like this and dropping them in. I'm going to taste at this point if the oxtails need salt or any other type of seasoning. Usually I don't have to add any because, as I said, it was very salty usually. And I like to add some cumin, coriander, because I feel like it just has like a good flavor to it with meat. So let's go and I'll drop these in. I don't know if you can tell, it's all like thick. The juices of it is all like thick and gooey because it's been cooking for hours. And that's exactly how you want it. I am gonna add in a bit more water because I want this to cook for about 45 minutes, and it's gonna be on the blech when right before Shabbat starts. So I think this is gonna be good. So the beets are out of the pot. They're nice and soft, poking them with a fork. I'm now going to add in some angel hair pasta so that I can make my soup. Soup is already turned off. It's perfectly ready. And I know I'm gonna get asked for how many people is the Shabbat meal prep for. That's actually one of the most common questions I get asked on my Shabbat preps. And this is for a total of 12 to 13 people. And my kids are all home today, so I'm sure that a nice portion of the food is actually going to be eaten before Shabbat even starts. It's about 1 o'clock now, and I want to start cooking up my proteins. This is the rack of ribs that we marinated last night. These are the honey chicken marinade. And this is the box that I'm going to be finishing up right now, adding in the rice and all of the cilantro. So I'm going to put my oven on at 300 degrees and let it just cook for hours until Shabbat starts. An hour before these are going to be ready, I'm going to take the cover off, baste it every like 10 minutes or so until it gets this like nice deep and brown color. And these will go in at 400 degrees. I'm going to mix it after 45 minutes. And I'll have the full recipe for everything linked down below for you in the description box. I'm about to serve my kids lunch. So just gonna take out the celery, the onions, the bay leaves, the dill that were chopped up in big pieces that my kids don't really enjoy. Also have a green pepper that they don't really like to eat. Fish all of that out and serve them the soup with the angel hair pasta that I cooked earlier.
great job. Today, since it's Shabbat party, we're gonna have a Shabbat clean
perfect Shabbat chicken soup. Taking a little break now to feed the kids some yummy chicken noodle soup. The chicken legs now are ready to be basted with its juices, so I take it out, baste all of the chicken with the juices and pop it into the oven. Then we take some time and just tidy up our kitchen. All the kids had chores. Some washed the dishes, some put them away, some wiped down the counter, so everyone was put to work. The box has been cooking for about 45 minutes now. I'm gonna uncover it and mix it and put it back to finish cooking. For the recipe, this is about 2.5 cups of short grain rice, 4 bunches of cilantro, a handful of meat. You could use lamb or beef. 1 onion goes in, and to season, I added actually a little bit of turmeric this time, salt, chicken consomme seasoning, black pepper, cumin, and coriander.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride.
The chicken is now all ready. All I did was add in a little bit more water to the bottom because I'm gonna have to reheat it over Shabbat. And it's gonna be on the plata, on the blech, and it just looks amazing. The box is ready now, and this is called tadig. This is like the crunchy parts. I have a few of them, and this is what everyone fights over usually. And it looks perfect, and it is all done. Now it's time to finish up all of my Shabbat salads. So I like to just have them all out. My purple cabbage salad, my markav chow, which is a carrot salad, my guacamole, and the beet carpaccio that I'll be making. I also minced my garlic and all of my greens. Now I'm gonna get started on mixing all of the dressings.
I'll be okay, 'cause I found my way.
As you can tell, I like to line up all of the salads all together on the table so I can dress them all at the same time. I just feel like it goes a lot faster that way. So this is the guacamole that I made. I've just found that if I add a little drop of mayo to it and then cover it with some plastic wrap right over the top of it, it prevents it from browning. It usually always works for me, so give it a shot and let me know how that works for you. Just peeling the beets over here for the beet carpaccio, and the dressing that I made for it is just some avocado oil, vinegar, some greens, sugar, salt, and pepper, and I'm just gonna mix all of that and place that over the top. Now that our beets are lined up beautifully, we're gonna take that dressing that we made and place that in the center of the beets, and it just adds a gorgeous contrast between the two colors. And it's a stunning presentation, and it tastes amazingly. And you can definitely omit the cilantro if you guys are not a fan. You can just keep it with parsley, with dill, scallion. You can omit the greens completely as well and just have it with the dressing. So versatile. You could always do whatever your palate tells you. How stunning and how gorgeous is this? Wow.
So that's a wrap. Everything is finally done and we're ready for Shabbat. It's about an hour before Shabbat, and what I do is I take everything out of the fridge that I made previously and everything that's been, getting warm and cooled off. I turn on my oven to like 300 degrees and place everything inside of it to get nice and hot. And then right before Shabbat starts, I put everything onto a hot plate. So that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed all of these recipes. And if you do try them out, I would love to see your creations. Don't forget to tag me on Instagram. Shabbat Shalom and happy prepping from our family to yours.